Am I the asshole for only training the puppy things that are convenient to me? I have a dog who is trained. My sister, who is also my roommate, also has a puppy who is not really a puppy anymore and isn't trained at all. I made it clear I wouldn't train the puppy and she shouldn't get it, and I haven't made any effort to train it. So this puppy doesn't know basic commands like sit, stay, recall, or anything really. However, I have trained it to leave it, meaning leave my dog alone, when I am training/playing with my own dog, and to leave my dog alone when I give my dog puzzles/enrichment toys. My sister thinks that if I have enough time to do this, I should help her out and actually train her puppy. I don't think I'm the asshole because it's not my puppy and I told her before she got it that I wouldn't do that. She thinks I'm the asshole because I have experience training dogs and have a little extra free time where I could be training the puppy. My sister can't afford to pay someone to train the puppy/bring it to puppy classes, and also works more than me, so says she's too tired to train the puppy. Am I the asshole? Edit. I don't ignore the puppy. I just don't train it, which I made clear for months before she got this puppy. Not the asshole. Your sister is a bad dog parent, big time though. I am however heartbroken that this puppy must witness another pup having fun, because training and enrichment is fun, and doesn't get any of it. While you are right, you win nothing for it, and the poor pupper is the loser there. Everyone sucks here. Poor puppy can't understand why it's being left out. Esh. Look, you're just aggravating the situation by ignoring this dog. I don't care if you don't want to teach it to sit because you don't see a benefit to you. The whole idea of training the dogs to not play together and giving one enrichment toys, which is code for hidden treats, and not the other, is both cruel and also asking for trouble. Badly trained dog may eventually lash out at the dog that's getting treated well. Even if you can't train the dog, you should be treating it equal to your dog in rewards and play. Everyone sucks here except for the dog. I love dog training. I wish I could swoop in there and save that puppy. How sad. Everyone sucks here, not fair to the dog. It needs a better home. Am I the asshole for calling my roommate out for not washing his hands after using the bathroom? I notice my roommate doesn't wash his hands after he uses the restroom. I've noticed this every time. I said to him while he walked out of the bathroom, "You gotta wash your hands after you piss, that's nasty." Was I too forward? I just feel like it's gross. I feel like it's basic hygiene. I'm just worried I was too direct. I don't know, let me know. Not the asshole. Unhygienic people should be shamed if they can help it. Not the asshole, but you have to know that even if he complies while you are around, he won't when you aren't there. Basically every light switch you touch, every drawer handle, the remote control, and so on will be covered in his filth. If you ever rub your eyes or touch your fingers to your lips, you will be transferring it there. People like him are disgustingly inconsiderate, but they will never get it. If they were capable of it, they wouldn't be like that in the first place. Not the asshole, that's nasty, bro. Not the asshole. I said the same to a former roommate who often went directly from the toilet to the fridge, dizzy-faced dizzy. If he's grown enough to live with roommates, he's grown enough to wash his hands. You didn't scream at him, you just said the bare minimum. Not the asshole. You're right. That is nasty. Am I the asshole for mocking my parents after they horribly botched the death of our first ever family pet? I'm in my early 20s. My dad had fish in a fish tank when I was young. They kept jumping out and killing themselves until the entire tank exploded. I had to beg my parents to get a pet, since I have loved dogs since I was little. Eventually, my constant whining was enough that they half caved and got us a snake when I was 8. We still got a dog when I was 10, because I was an extremely stubborn brat when I was little. The snake was an albino milk snake, which is a 4-femolet long non-venomous snake whose patterning loosely resembles a candy cane. Because I was 8, I named the snake Red. Red was our first family pet, and we loved her to death, even though my dad did try to convince us to get rid of her a few times when I was in high school. Flash forward to when I'm in college on the other side of the country. I'm in a lecture when I get a text from my parents. My parents have just returned home after a 3-day trip out of the country to visit family. The snake is supposed to be fed every 1-2 weeks, and they left the dog with other family. The text says, "I think Red passed away last night." And then there is a picture. I'm left gawking at the blackened corpse of my childhood pet, and unable to properly process the situation, or reply to my parents, because the lecture had another hour left in it, and there was an exam on this stuff next week. This death was extremely shocking to us since the store lied and said the snake would live 50 years, but we Googled it after she passed and the life expectancy is 15 years. I had a few hours before my next class, so I call my parents from the bar down the street from the university after having downed several Long Island iced teas. I get on a FaceTime and get details from my parents. To my indignation, they threw her body in the compost bin instead of giving her a burial or cremating her in an urn, which is our plan for the dog. Unable to get the image of Red's blackened corpse out of my head, my tipsy ass screams at my parents for doing this and insists they fetch Red from the compost and find a crematorium. They said they would. Then the next week while my dad was visiting me, he admits they lied and left her in the compost, saying I was overreacting to how they handled the death. Now here's where I might be the asshole, besides the brief tipsy screaming part. In the few years since, I have told this story to everyone including all my parents' friends, some of whom finally convinced them they screwed up. I do frame the story in a humorous light by ending it with, so I told my mom that when my dog or my grandmother dies, do not tell me with a picture and a text. I'm pretty twisted and sharp with my sense of humor, but my parents think this is just cruel mockery of them for a teensy mistake, that I am just repeatedly insulting them for the sake of it and ignore all the good they have done for me. I've told them that I love them with all my heart, but I will never let them live this down. Candy cane snakes turn black when they die. Edit to add more questions. Fish kept jumping out of the tank and killed themselves? The entire tank exploded? I realize these aren't questions so much as repeating what you wrote with question marks at the end. But, I mean what? Not the asshole. But have you ever considered that your family misheard the person at the pet store, and that they actually said 15 for the life expectancy and not 50? Like, I highly doubt they would have lied to you. Not the asshole. I hate to make this worse, but the snake had been dead a lot longer than one day. They don't turn black that fast. They botched the burial, not the death, and only in the sense that they didn't do what you would have done. I'd say a bit ESH. They could have had more tact than to send you the picture. You could also not harp on and on about it to anyone that will listen, because that's doing nothing at all. Move on, it has been years. You never looked up information about milk snakes in all those years? Not the asshole. The teensy mistake was A, not taking your sense of loss seriously, and B, straight up lying to you about it. Tell your dad he's going in the compost when he dies. Am I the asshole for wanting to allow a girl to use my hand sanitizer? I know the title sounds weird, so I'll start by providing some background info. I, 20F, work at an after-school program, and there's a little girl, 78F, who has some sensory issues, hasn't been diagnosed with anything, so I won't attempt to hear. One day I was working with her, she started to melt down as my co-worker, 18F, gave all the kids hand sanitizer due to being averse to the smell and texture. I let her use mine, the Touchland watermelon one from AITA, and she calmed down, so I told her that in the future, she could just ask me to use mine. Well, today, she asked if she could use my hand sanitizer. I of course said yes before my co-worker said she could just use the school's. The girl calmly explained that she didn't like the smell and texture, but my co-worker told her, I don't care, and told me not to let her use it because she needed to learn that she couldn't always get what she wants, and it would result in the other kids wanting to use it. To be clear, I would have no issue with the other kids using it, and am all for teaching kids that they can't always get what they want, but I just don't think this is the time or place to do so. However, me being neurodivergent could cause me to be biased, so I wanted to get some more neutral perspectives as to whether I was the asshole. Not an asshole. Perhaps worth discussing it with her parents, so they can equip her with her own supply of hand sanitizer if it's a sensory issue that might impact her health in future. Not the asshole. Your coworker said, I don't care, to a kid calmly explaining a sensory issue. That's not teaching a lesson, that's just being mean. You found a simple fix that works, keep doing it. Not the asshole. Some people, especially when it comes to taking care of kids, just believe you shouldn't change anything to make a kid more comfortable. She's not your boss, she can't police your actions. I'm glad the kids have someone empathetic and kind like you caring for them. Not the asshole, it's hand sanitizer. Your coworker is making mountains out of molehills. You teach kids that they can't always get what they want by teaching them how to handle disappointment and regulate themselves. That's a skill for managing things outside of your control. What goes on someone's body should be well within their control. Not the asshole. They're your coworker, not your boss, so they don't get to tell you how to do your job. I've worked in a similar environment, but with people who'd actually gotten diagnoses, And you still run into this kind of person who has to flex their authority and insist on tough love BS. It's the worst and more common than it should be. Your coworker is an asshole. Teaching kids that their preferences or needs, depending on the extent of the sensory aversion, should not be respected is horrible. That you're neurodivergent yourself means it's easier for you to empathize with this girl. But honestly, being NT is no excuse for your coworker's attitude.